it's me, Robin, with Simple Food, Simple Life. Real quick, I just want to show you what I'm up to today. About 5:05. No, I'm just teasing. It's actually about 8 o'clock in the morning, and I decided that, well, I'm an early riser, and I'm actually at my best the early part of the day. So I decided this morning that I got out my stovetop pressure cooker here. It's actually the small one. It's not the pressure cooker canner. I love this thing. I don't have an Instapot. I have this, and it's way cheaper, and you don't have to mess with all the electronics. But different strokes, right? Okay, so what I've got here, if you remember the video where I demonstrated how to cut the bones out of the chicken thighs, this is what I had left. These are the bones and the skin from those chicken thighs. And so I'm going to cook up some chicken broth today. Now, I'm also going to add, I don't always do this, but I've got some, from the freezer, I've got some vegetable scraps. I think there's carrots, green onions. Honestly, I don't know what all is in here, but it's just vegetable scraps. I'm going to add that to the mix as well. And I'm just going to cook this up. And I'm going to put it on probably around 90 minutes, which seems like a lot, but I'm actually going for more of a bone broth where I can get the all that good collagen and everything out of the bones. So I love doing the pressure cooker method because you don't have to cook it all night. You don't have to set up your crock pot. You can just do this. And actually, it takes about, I usually do it about 90 minutes, and that's that. Now, I don't put any salt or anything in there because, you know, sometimes the longer things cook, the more concentrated the salt is. So I'm not seasoning this at all. I'm just putting in the vegetable scraps, the chicken, and I'm going to add water. Now, my particular pressure cooker here, it's got some water lines, so you shouldn't fill it beyond that line, because otherwise you might have problems. This pressure cooker gets to like 15 pounds of pressure, and you just turn down the heat. I think I've kind of showed you that before. Let me get some more water in here. So that was about 2 quarts of water. I think I am going to take it to the line. As the old song says, we're going to take it to the limit one more time. Wasn't that the Eagles? Yes, it was. Awesome band. Okay. So there it is. Now, here is a, if you can see that, there's a little arrow right there, and there's a corresponding arrow on the lid, hot bar. So I'm going to put that on there, and I'm going to turn it on and just let it go. And then when the steam starts to come out of here, because this is locked on now, when it starts to come on at steady pressure, I will just turn it down to where it's a smaller amount and steady steam, and then and only then will I set my timer, and we will be good to go. And I have other chores and things to do around the house today, so I'll be up to that, and then we'll come back after 90 minutes and the pressure goes down, and we'll see what we got. Okay? All right. All right, the chicken is done with the vegetables, and I'm going to take the little thing off the top and open it up. Now, I let the temperature go down on this gradually. I didn't release the steam on it or anything. And the pan is still pretty warm. So let's see what we've got. Now, this is not going to look pretty at all. But you can see here, see where they are literally, they're really cooked. There's nothing left of them. And I will show you how the bones are even. They'll crumble. Okay? So, what we're going to do is, I'm going to take this out. I have a colander here inside of a bowl, and I'm going to put the bulk of this, the bones and the vegetables in the colander and let it drain through. I'm not going to strain it yet. I'm going to do this first. This is what I do first. Because it's just easier that way. See if I can get it close enough here. I think you can see that. So I've just got a little strainer here, and I'm just picking up what I can, and I'm putting it in the colander. So that's the bones from the deboned thighs, chicken thighs. It's the skin as well. So we're going to get a lot of good collagen out of this. A lot of good flavor from the vegetables. And also the vegetables kind of color the broth as well. I plan to can this broth. The bulk of it anyway. I've been doing that lately when I make broth, whether it's chicken broth or other broth. I've just been using some of it and then canning some of it. So you can see there's more in there. So all I do is just get the bulk of it, so that when I use the finer strainer, the fine strainer that I have, then it gets all the rest of that out. So I want to show you. Look here. This is what happens to the bones, so that all of the collagen comes out of the bones, and that's what makes bone broth. That's why I do it in the pressure cooker. It's faster, it's easier, and I don't have to let anything sit overnight. I don't really have to tend it. I just have to make sure that I'm nearby when my pressure cooker is running. Okay? So that's it. Now, also, you can see there's some of the broth off of there. So I'm going to finish cleaning out the rest of this, and then I'll show you what to do from there. Now, I've gotten all the big pieces out, which that was my intention, and I'm going to take the broth that was drained off of here. I'm going to put it back in, and I'm going to set this aside because more liquid is going to keep draining off of here, and I'm just going to let it drain. All right, now then, I am going to get a ladle, rather than tip it upside down into the strainer here. that's just the recipe for disaster for me. So I'm just going to ladle it. I'm going to ladle it into this strainer. And when it gets down far enough to where I can pour it safely, then I will pour it. If you feel secure enough to pour it out all at once, you go for it. That is not for me. This smells really, really good. Now, once I get this strained off, I'm going to, actually, once I get it strained off, it's going to go back in the pan. Okay? I'm going to make sure here. I'm going to take this and I'm going to pour it in this bowl because I know that there's going to be too much broth for this. So, take this over here. That broth is still very, very hot. Very hot. So I'm going to spoon some more out again, letting it strain. And then if it's low enough, which I think it is, I'm going to try pouring some off. Now, I could leave it just like this and just season it with a little bit of salt, but I like to intensify the flavors of the broth. So what I'm going to do is, I'm going to, see there's a lot here. I'm going to pour it back in my pan. I'm going to leave the lid off. And I'm going to boil down the broth until it is probably about half the volume that it is now. Let me see, this is going to be close. Because you know I cooked this in quite a bit of water. So, remember, I probably put 4 quarts of water in that. So there it is. That's quite a bit of broth. Grab a spoon here. Keep in mind it's still not salted. That's pretty good, but I want it to be stronger in flavor. So I'm going to rinse out my pan a little bit. Just a little. Pretty good. Rinse out my pan. I'm going to take some paper towel here. Get some of the grainy stuff off. If you don't have to do this, that's fine. But I like to, especially if there's quite a bit, which there is. And now I'm going to pour this back in. Now remember, I still haven't salted it. So this is right around 4 quarts or less. By the time I get done, there will be about 2 quarts of broth. And then, and only then, will I salt it. I will salt it to taste. So, let's wipe down here a little bit. Clean as you go. All right. Now, I'm going to get my burner going. I'll turn it on high and keep an eye on it, and I'm going to let this cook down about half. Then I will add salt to it and salt it to taste and see what it tastes like. At which point then we're going to put it in some wide mouth canning jars. And the reason I do that is because once it cools off and goes in the refrigerator, the fat is going to congeal on the top, and I want to be able to remove the chicken fat easily. So I can't do that if I have a narrow canning jar. I need to have a wide mouth canning jar so that I can take the fat off very easily. Okay, all right, there it is. Now, I hope that you give this a try, okay? But I do highly recommend that you cook down the broth. If you can, cook it down a little bit and let those flavors intensify. The flavors will get even stronger, and I'm telling you, it's well worth it, okay? All right, I hope this helps. And if I can do it, you can do it. Salvage what you got. This is just made from the deboned chicken thighs. It's from the bones and the skin and a few vegetable scraps from the freezer. You can do this. And you can also flavor this broth any way you want. Okay? All right, listen. I love you guys. You know I do. And I thank you so much for joining me today. And as always, you just remember that little is much when God is in it. Okay? All right. I got to cook this down. I'll talk to you later.